Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going on a journey. We're going to follow data from, well, its chaotic, messy beginnings all the way to a single, powerful insight that can totally change how we see the world.
So let's kick things off with this brilliant thought from data scientist Hadley Wickham. It's this clever twist on Tolstoy, you know? And it just perfectly nails the starting point of our story, a world that's full of unique, messy data.
You know, like any great story, ours kicks off in a world of pure chaos. When you first get your hands on raw data, it's almost never clean or organized. It's usually confusing, inconsistent, and just, well, a mess.
Okay, so take a look at this. This is a perfect real-world example. See what's going on with those column headers? They aren't single variables, are they? No, they're these weird combinations of diagnosis and gender and age. I mean, how are you even supposed to analyze that? It's almost impossible to tell what's what.
So this brings us to the first real quest on our journey. We've got to bring some order to this chaos. And the goal is to create something called tidy data. The rule here is actually super simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Every column is one variable, and every row is one observation. That's it. This clean structure, it's the foundation for everything that comes next.
So the big question is, how do we get from that messy table to a tidy one? Well, you have to tame it. And this is where a data scientist rolls up their sleeves for a process called wrangling. And yeah, as the name suggests, it often feels like a real fight.
And to win this fight, data scientists have this awesome toolkit of actions. Think of them like verbs. Filter lets you zoom in on just the data you care about, say only flights to a certain city. Mutate is super cool. It lets you create new information from what you've already got, like figuring out a plane's speed from its distance and time. Then you've got select to pick out just the columns you want, and arrange to sort everything so it's easier to read.
Now, back in the day, writing the code for all this, it was a total headache. You had to nest all these functions inside each other, which meant you had to read the code from the inside out. Seriously, it's confusing, a nightmare to fix if something goes wrong, and it really doesn't tell you a clear story of what's happening.
But then came a total game changer, the pipe. Just think about it like this. You feed the messy data into one end, and it just flows through this series of steps, getting cleaner and more organized with each one. In the code, it's just this simple symbol that lets you chain all your actions together. It literally turns that tangled mess of code into a clear, logical story you can read from left to right. All right, so our data is now tidy and transformed. We've survived the wrangling gauntlet. And this is where we get to the really exciting part of the journey, making all those hidden patterns and stories inside the data visible to the human eye. To really see this in action, let's check out a new data set. This table here shows us data on 3 different species of penguins, right? We've got their flipper length and their body mass. Now, just by staring at these raw numbers, can you spot the relationship between them? It's pretty tough, isn't it?
But check this out. With just a couple of lines of code, using a really powerful visualization tool, we can basically cast a spell. We just tell the computer, hey, take the penguin's data, map flipper length to the x-axis, body mass to the y-axis, and then just draw a dot for every single penguin.
And what happens next is just magic. This is what it's all about. A good visualization turns all those abstract numbers into a picture our brains can understand in an instant. It reveals these surprising connections. It shows us things we never would have spotted in that table, and it usually makes us ask even deeper questions. And you know, it's amazing what this kind of work can lead to. Just as a quick aside, the folks who created these amazing tools, they ask that if you find them valuable, you think about donating to help save the kakapo. It's this critically endangered parrot from New Zealand, and right now there are only 248 of them left in the world. It's just a great reminder of how data awareness can actually inspire real-world action. Okay, so seeing a pattern is incredibly powerful, but it's only one way we can generate knowledge from data. Let's take the next step. Let's see how we can go from just seeing these patterns to actually predicting them with models.
So, what we have here are 2 engines for creating knowledge, and they work together perfectly. Visualization, that's a human thing. It's fantastic for exploring and for sparking those aha moments. But models are mathematical tools. They give us precision, and they can scale up massively. It's this beautiful partnership between human discovery and machine precision.
What a model really does is let us quantify the patterns we spot in a visualization. It's kind of like a recipe. It can take a hunch that we have, something like, it looks like bigger diamonds cost more. and it turns that into a precise mathematical formula that can actually make predictions.
So, our data's journey is almost at an end. It's been imported, it's been tidied and transformed, and we've started to understand it through visualizations and models. But there is one final, absolutely critical step.
And this is just so important, because an insight is only valuable if you can share it. The entire journey we've been on is, well, it's pretty much meaningless if the story of the data can't be communicated effectively to other people, so they can actually understand it and do something with it.
And that brings us to the end of our hero's journey. This is the complete data science cycle. You import the raw, messy stuff, you tidy it and transform it, you build up your understanding through this back and forth between visualizing and modeling, and then, finally, you communicate what you found. And the one thing holding it all together? It's all powered by the language of programming.
So, here's the big takeaway. Data is never just a bunch of numbers. Every single data set has a story hidden inside it, just waiting to be told. The tools and the processes we've walked through today, that's the language we use to finally read that story and share it with the world. Thanks for joining me.